Doing some tests today. Gonna do some tie-dye with some kind of shibori type of folds. Okay, this is soda ash and water solution. And I'm just gonna let them sit and soak for about 10-15 minutes. And then I'll take them out and start to play with color. Okay, so I've been mixing up dyes and I'm trying out new color combinations today. I'm really excited to see how they turn out. And here are my pieces. They're kind of all chilling and I'm about to take them out and start dyeing. So I took the pieces out of the soda ash and wrung them out. They're still pretty wet, but I have put them on my drop cloth and I'm going to start to put dye on. And putting the dye on is a bit of a delicate process, and I always like to start with the lightest color and move to the medium color to the darkest color, because I want to make sure that I don't put the darkest color on first and then just like dominate the whole piece with the darkest color. It's very easy for that to happen. So that's why I always like to go in with the darkest color last. And I like to turn them over and check to make sure that the dye is getting on all the sides. For this one here, I'm just doing the edges of that square one. But for the other ones, I want to make sure it's getting on both sides. So that is the pink colorway. Next, I'm going to come in with the orange and blue. So that is going to be a classic warm and cool story. And I've done a diagonal fold on one of those pieces and then a semicircle on the other ones. So I'm really excited to see how these turn out. So I'm going in with the lighter teal first and then the darker teal on top. And I am not leaving a lot of white space in these pieces. I want it to be pretty saturated. So the darker teal is going to go in on top of the lighter teal, just to emphasize that teal. So for these three last little pieces, I'm going to use a sort of darker color story, and I'm going in with a dark purple. I'm actually breaking my rule here. I'm going in with one of the darker colors, but it's okay. So I'm doing a honeycomb wrapped piece, a square piece with a crisscross rubber band, and then a right triangle fold with the rubber bands on the 45-degree angles. I'm just going in with some green here. I'm really making sure on that honeycomb fold that the colors are overlapping so that they really blend nicely. So they all look really good. I'm just going to double check them on the other side and add some more dye if I think that I need it. And the next thing I'm going to do is wrap them all up in saran wrap and let them sit for 6 to 8 hours, and that is going to keep the tie-dye nice and wet and allow the dye to really set into the fabric. So that soda ash is going to let the dye in, and the time will let it start to really set. So here I'm unwrapping them. This is the pink colorway, which I love. So what I love about this colorway is that I used two colors that are like almost the same. One is a more purple and one is a bit more of an orangey pink. And then I put them together with a neutral. I like to put similar colors together with a neutral so you can get like a nice gradient. I also like to make sure I have a lot of negative space because I think it looks really cool, and it's a lot like watercolor doing tie-dye, and I think that it's really powerful to allow the negative space to come through. So here is the square, and I'm actually going to add more color. So, you know, that's the thing with the negative space. You can always add more color, but you can't take it out. So I'm just going in and selectively adding a little bit more of the neutral color to kind of give it a little bit more of a sophisticated and interesting look. So I'm going to add a little bit more of that light pink too to punch up the gradient into the negative space. But I like to do this after I've opened them so that I can really make sure I like the pattern and control what's happening on the fabric. So now I'm going to open up this dark colorway, and in this color combination we went really dark. The yellow is very orangey, so it kind of is all secondary colors, which is kind of like a look, and they're all very dark in value, which makes it really like moody and fall like, which I think is really fun. I like neutrals when it comes to tie-dye because they look very modern, and neutrals have colors to them. They're not just, you know, gray is not like gray and brown is not just brown. They all have different colors in them. So I think that they're really fun to play with, and I love the way this honeycomb pattern turned out. It's super pretty. It looks like a reptile or snake skin or something. I'm gonna just leave it as is on this. And then on this square piece, I'm going to just add a little bit more color. I'm gonna come in with the orangey yellow just to kind of like bring the gradient out, and that's going to kind of like mix with the darker colors and bleed out into the white, which is going to be really pretty and interesting to look at. Now I'm opening up the cool and the warm story, and blue and orange are opposites on the color wheel. So they can be very dynamic when they're used together, and they can also blend to make a neutral color. So this one here is a little bit more blended, and you can see how the orange and the blue have mixed to make kind of like a brown color. And I really love the semicircle pattern of that one. The diagonal piece is a lot more saturated, and the blues and the oranges turned out a lot more separated. So it's a little bit different of a look than the semicircle pattern. So I rinsed everything with cold and then washed them with hot and Dyer's detergent. I'll put the link for the Dyer's detergent down below. And I think they turned out really, really pretty. I am trying to think of names for them. So if you think of a name, please put it in the comments down below. I'd love to know what your ideas are and what all of these remind you of. And here are the dark colors, and they really kind of change once they've been washed and dried. You can see the colors a lot more clearly once they've dried, especially with the dark ones. And I think that it turned out really, really nice, and it's very fall and kind of moody and fun. The next one is the teal and the orange colorway, and you can see close up these beautiful neutral colors where they have mixed together on the semicircle, and then on this diagonal one they're a lot more pronounced. So I think they turned out really great. If you have color name suggestions, please put them in the comments below. Color naming is really fun, but it can be kind of hard, so I'd love to know what you guys think. And if you like tie-dye videos, be sure to give me a thumbs up so that I know what kind of videos to keep making for you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.